You may say to yourself, there's an unlimited number of ways to eat something, right? Wrong. There's actually a lot of smarter and more easy ways of eating everyday foods, and chances are you're already doing it wrong to begin with. Coming up, we'll show you some of the most proper ways to eat things, like a Toblerone bar, hard-boiled eggs, and even bacon. Join us as we show you all the things you're eating incorrectly, as well as the proper and more efficient way to do so. The Toblerone Bar. Now, if you've yet to experience the divine taste and texture of a Toblerone bar, you need to do it ASAP. But don't make the same mistake that everyone else does. Most people will just rip off a triangle in order to eat it, or just go at it open-mouthed. Either way can actually end up leaving you with a messy face or fingers. So if you're one of those people, please stop doing that immediately. There's a better way. All you need to do is turn the massive chocolate bar so that the points of the triangles are facing you, and make sure that the bar is positioned laterally. Then just put your thumb on the tip of the triangle on the end, push down, and voila! A perfectly broken off piece of Toblerone chocolate. It really doesn't get much easier than that. Oreos. Ah, the Oreo. Nothing goes better with a sleeve of Oreos than a glass of ice-cold milk. In fact, I'm pretty sure that it's a sin not to dunk your Oreos in milk. It creates the perfect bite of a milk-softened chocolate cookie and cream. However, there is a downside. Wet and sometimes chocolate-stained fingers. Well, I've got a solution for both of your issues. Stick a fork in the cream between the two chocolate wafers. Then dunk your cookie in your milk and eat it. The cream is actually so thick that it has no problem holding onto the fork as you give your Oreo cookie a milk bath. Of course, this doesn't just work for Oreos. Almost any kind of cream-filled cookie can be eaten in this manner. Cupcakes. Cookies aren't the only thing that you're probably eating incorrectly. You also probably just dive nose first into a cupcake or two, don't you? Well, instead of eating it the way that it was intended to be presented, shake it up a bit and save a napkin. All you have to do is tear off the bottom of the cupcake and place it on the top. You know, where the frosting is. And this creates an Oreo-style cupcake. That way, when you go to take a bite, you'll get a mouthful of moist cake and creamy filling, without the icing going right up your nostrils. It's certainly a great way to eat a cupcake at a classy event without making a total mess out of yourself. Hard-boiled eggs. Statistics show that most people don't eat hard-boiled eggs because they're a pain in the butt to actually peel. However, that's not true. But I bet more people would eat them when they realize how easy it actually is to get them out of the shell. If you've ever made a mass amount of hard-boiled eggs for, let's say, egg salad or even deviled eggs, you can attest to the fact that peeling the eggs is one of the worst parts of the cooking process. Sometimes you can successfully remove large pieces of the shell with no problem. But most other times, however, you usually end up picking at a little egg fragment or two, losing half of your egg to the shell. Well, not anymore. When you're ready to peel the egg, put it in a glass or a mason jar with about ½ of an inch of water. Either screw on the lid or cover up the opening with your hand. Then just violently shake the egg within the glass so that the shell begins to break. Then keep on shaking, and the shell will either come off completely or be easy to slip off. Then just rinse and eat. So there you go, egg lovers. You're welcome. Fried eggs. And while we're on the subject of eggs, I also know a better way to fry your eggs. Now, usually when you crack a few eggs in a pan, the yolks and the whites will slip around everywhere. Kind of like Bambi on an ice skating rink, making it impossible to tell which white belongs to which yolk. It's not a problem if you're just feeding yourself. But when you've got a family of 4 asking for breakfast and kids whining about who got the most egg whites, it can be quite the hassle. Instead, you can make each egg in its own little bell pepper mold on the pan and keep them separated. Simply cut out the rings of a bell pepper, Crack one egg into each pepper ring and then cook it sunny side up. If you want your eggs over hard or over medium, just wait for the underside of the egg to cook into the pepper and flip and then finish cooking. If the kids complain that they don't like peppers, you can just easily remove the ring without causing a fuss. This method definitely beats having a separate pan for every egg. Kiwis. Kiwis are an essential part of a well-balanced fruit salad, but they can be tricky to prepare. Much like a hard-boiled egg, removing the skin of a kiwi with a knife can result in you losing a majority of the yummy green fruit inside. Instead of cutting the skin off, cut the fruit into round slices. Then gently pick at the skin to remove it. Not only do you end up with more fruit, but you also reduce the risk of cutting yourself with the knife. Now, who knew that there were so many ways to outsmart these fuzzy little balls of deliciousness? Popsicles. Popsicles really are one of the most iconic symbols of summer and hot weather, but eating a popsicle when it's 90 degrees outside can quickly turn into a sticky disaster. You really only have two options to avoid such a catastrophe. One, you can hope and pray that it doesn't melt all over you, which we all know won't work. Or two, eating it so fast that you end up with a brain freeze and hurt teeth. What many don't actually know is that there's a secret option under number 3. You can poke the popsicle stick through a muffin liner, and then raise the muffin liner to the bottom of the popsicle. This is going to help catch any drips created by you not being able to keep up with the summer heat, and will also prevent you or your children from staining their clothes with all those artificial dyes. Ice cream. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, you'll probably want to use a little bit of heat when scooping out ice cream. When you get your ice cream out of the freezer, you can usually plan on waiting an additional 10 minutes at room temperature or 3 minutes in the microwave for it to unthaw enough to scoop. However, those days are over. All you're going to need is a bowl of hot water and an ice cream scoop. And, of course, your favorite ice cream. Place the tub of ice cream into the bowl of hot water for about 30 seconds. This is going to loosen it up a bit. Then set the ice cream to the side and put your scoop in the hot water for about a minute. After all of this, you should be ready to get your ice cream out of the container with no problem. And if you're dishing out a lot of creamy goodness, say maybe for a festival or a school event, you'll want to keep the hot water nearby to dip the scoop in when it starts getting harder to scoop. Hot dogs. Now, don't you just hate when one part of your hot dog is charred while the center is barely lukewarm? It often results in you having to babysit the dog so that it doesn't overcook even more while still managing the rest of the food on the grill. Well, rejoice, because I've got a fix that's just waiting for you. Cut the hot dog into spirals. This is going to create a larger surface area and also expose the middle of the dog, which in turn will cook the hot dog a lot faster and more evenly. Bring this tip along with you the next time that you're invited to a barbecue, and you might just save the day, and everyone else from burnt, lukewarm hot dogs. French fries. Also known as a cheeseburger's best friend, French fries can be rather delicious, and they can also be a ketchup-y mess to eat. But I've discovered a way to have your fries and eat them too, without the mess. Instead of just drizzling your ketchup packets onto your fries and getting your fingers full of ketchup when you go to eat them, tear open a large part of the corner of a ketchup packet. Or if you have scissors, you can cut the top of the packet just below the seal. This is going to create a large enough opening so that you can then dip your fries in the sweet tomatoey goodness, saving you the hassle of trying to fish a napkin out of the bag while getting ketchup all over the place. Carrots. When you're eating vegetables, who's to tell you that you're doing it wrong? Well, me, along with some researchers from the University of Arkansas. Now, most veggies are better for you when you eat them raw because cooking them can actually make them lose their nutritional value. But the opposite is true for carrots. Carrots naturally contain beta-carotene, which your body converts into vitamin A, and vitamin A promotes healthy vision, as well as bone, skin, and immunity function. It's also an important and necessary vitamin to have in your body. And according to those brilliant researchers at the University of Arkansas, you can amp up your vitamin A intake when you eat cooked carrots, because they contain over 30% more beta-carotene than raw carrots. As it turns out, your mother wasn't lying. Carrots are good for your vision. You might just want to cook them first to get the full benefits. Tacos. While there isn't necessarily a wrong way to eat a taco, there is a better way. One of the most popular messy foods is in fact the taco. And what's not to love about meat, cheese, tomatoes, and lettuce crammed inside of a crunchy shell? However, tacos tend to fall apart, usually because of a broken or soggy shell. And as it turns out, there's a way to avoid all of the mess. All you have to do is simply wrap your taco in a large lettuce leaf. This is going to prevent the shell from crumbling all over the place, and it's also going to keep your toppings secured inside, just like it should. Plus, it leaves more room inside the taco for things like meat and cheese. This newfangled way of eating can actually change your life and save your taco. Bacon. If you're a non-meat eater, you might want to look away. That's because we have perfected the way that bacon is to be cooked and eaten. That's right, meat lovers across the world have been eating pork in its most delicious form the wrong way all this time. Now, whether you like to pile your bacon onto an egg sandwich or make it the star of a BLT, you know the struggles of simultaneously keeping all the bacon strips on your sandwich. They tend to escape your lips every chance that they get. But that ends today. Before cooking your bacon, weave the strips of bacon in a basket weave-like pattern. You can get fancy, or you can stick with a simple bacon lattice design. All you have to do after that is simply cook the square until all the pieces are brown to your liking, and bam! You have the perfect piece of bacon that's not going to slide off your sandwich. Now, I bet you didn't know you were going through life unknowingly eating so many foods incorrectly. And hopefully, I've saved you from the turmoil of eating, so that you can actually focus on the more enjoyable parts of it. Tasting it. Do you know any other hacks to improve your eating experience? I'd love to hear about them. So tell me all about it in the comments below, and thanks for watching. The McDonald's nail. Now, nothing says delicious like biting down on a piece of metal. 47-year-old Swedish resident Yusuf Bursel was chowing down on a McDonald's burger, and that's when he felt something sharp hit the roof of his mouth. Now, most people would probably spit it out, but he was a trooper and kept on going. On the second bite, however, he found himself in even more pain, so he stopped